Chris McKaylee, and I wanted to share some resources for governmental advocates that my colleague Ray LeBove and I have previously put together for some of Ray's lobbying seminars. So these are some of the online and printed resources that are available to anyone who's involved in government advocacy work or who works in and around the California State Capitol. Some of them include the information on the Institute of Governmental Advocates website, which is a voluntary nonprofit professional membership association for California lobbyists and lobbying firms and GR professionals. The IGA maintains a professional code of conduct for advocates as well as their clients. And that code of conduct is on the IGA website. There, of course, is the Fair Political Practices Commission. That's the state agency that defines and regulates the lobbying process and those engaged in the practice of lobbying in accordance with the Political Reform Act. The FPPC rules are obviously a must for governmental advocates. They also have a toll-free advice line at 866-ASK-FPPC. And if you provide all the detailed information in writing and request a written advice letter and they provide it, then that is binding on the requester. There, of course, is the legislative information website provided by and maintained by the Office of Legislative Counsel and the Legislative Data Center that they oversee at leginfo.california.gov. And that provides the full text and all amended versions of bills and resolutions and constitutional amendments. They have the daily calendar events like committee hearings and floor sessions. You can access all of the legislative publications, etc. And of course, there are bill tracking services out there that lobbyists can subscribe to, such as Abstract. There's also Contribution Track for campaign contributions, which also has a calendar of fundraising events and stuff. There's also some other helpful information for government affairs professionals, say like in trade associations. There's the websites of the American Society of Association Executives, ASAE, the California Society of Association Executives, the California Association of Nonprofits is out there. There are other key publications and directories like Capital Inquiry and GovBuddy that provides directories in print on CD. They have annual subscriptions. You can get a mobile app version or ones on the web for the legislature and its staff. The Red Book, that's the pocket directory of the legislature. They have a directory for state agencies, cities and counties, the US Congress, judicial leaders, even the electoral maps and stuff. California political maps as wall posters of the Assembly and Senate districts, also the Board of Equalization districts. The Leg Info website, again, that's maintained by the Office of Legislative Counsel, has a complete list of all the publications, the Daily File, the Daily Journal, the Weekly History, the Legislative Record, the Legislative Index, etc., the Statutory Record. There's also the Chief Clerk and the Senate Secretary have some publications, like the Chief Clerk on her website has the California's Legislature, it's called. There's also a legislative procedure handout. The California Budget Center has a guide on the state budget process. The Senate Publications has what they call the Legislative Process, a Citizen's Guide to Participation. They also have the Budget Process, a Citizen's Guide to Participation. The legislative process viewed from the Department of Finance, they have it on their website. There's the California Budget Process website. There's, of course, all of the rulemaking for administrative agencies through the Office of Administrative Law. They have an overview of the rulemaking process. They also have a wonderful publication called A Guide to Public Participation in the Rulemaking Process. Their website also has the rulemaking calendar for state agencies and departments. They even have the California Regulatory Notice Register, where the publication of forthcoming regulations is contained, and of course the CCR, the California Code of Regulations. There are a number of state government websites in California you should regularly view. The governor's website at gov.ca.gov. There's also the executive branch listing of all the departments. The Department of Finance, particularly for those who are involved in the state budget and budget-related advocacy at dof.ca.gov. There's the California Legislature, the individual assembly.ca.gov website, and the senate.ca.gov website for the individual houses. There's our legislative analyst. The LAO is the independent budget advisor to the legislature. There's our Secretary of State, where you can get election-related information and lobbyist employer, and lobbying firm data. There are also some political and news websites, such as CalBuzz, California Playbook, done by Politico. There's the Capitol Alert, published by the Sacramento Bee, the Capitol Daybook, the Capitol Morning Report. It does require a paid subscription, but not the classifieds. Capitol Weekly, the Roundup, Rough and Tumble, of course, that gives a wonderful snapshot of news articles. And there are a number of other, and of course, the daily newspapers that are available. So you can see there are quite a few different resources that ought to be regularly consulted by governmental advocates in the state of California.